What is motivation? So many people say, is it just a fluff word? We're going to give our take on it.
You're 65% more likely to hit the goal if you commit it to someone else, because then I'm not letting myself down, I'm letting you down as well.
I wanted to earn $1 million a year personal income, and that was my motivation. I did a 100K month and I just felt empty. Yeah, because that's not your real goal. That's not what motivates you.
You're a third more likely to hit the same goal if you just break it down into smaller ones and tick them off.
Jimmy Carr said that you can't have an easy life and a great character. So show me a trust fund kid that inherited a bunch of money and I'll show you someone who's been mentally tortured. Having stuff isn't fun, getting stuff is fun. It's not the pursuit of happiness, it's the happiness of the pursuit.
Jimmy.
Jimbo.
That's elite. Mate, can I get a bit cute for a sec?
Oh, God.
Welcome back to another episode of Two Blokes One Business with Pally and Harv.
Strap in. It's another one with the boys.
I'm sticking with Pally and Harv as well. I reckon it's good.
First name basis for everyone. Yeah.
Well, we did get a comment actually during the week, which we shared on the socials. Yeah, saying that we're the Pommy, Hamish and Andy.
Did ya? Well, actually, we also had our first hater on TikTok.
Did, yeah.
What did that fella say? Rosie's behind the camera.
They give anyone a podcast these days. Yeah, not you fucking melt.
Paley did actually say, he was like, should we just let rip on these people? Like, should we just be the podcast that absolutely scolds them back?
You're doing something right.
Yeah, that's it. Rosie's
so if you listen to this, mate, leave us alone, will you?
You egg. Mate, today, motivation is on the menu. And motivation is a massive one. Comes in waves, and we're just going to unpack everything, right? So many people say, is it just a fluff word? What is motivation? We're probably going to give our take on it, what we feel it is. It's going to be a fun one, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's controversial, right? Because people who are naturally driven think motivation's bullshit.
Yeah.
And people who aren't driven at all just say, oh, I lose motivation. It's quite hard, how you're so motivated, when it's actually not even motivation at that point.
Yeah.
But without spilling my beans, because I will go hot and heavy on this one.
He's ready to go. He's got his seatbelt on the sofa. He's
got the helmet on.
He's got the helmet on. But ultimately, if you can nail motivation and get it right and work out how you can tap into it when life's going well, when life's not going well, it's a simple tool that can quite literally change your life, isn't it, mate?
And make it more fun as well. I think when you're motivated, naturally you think of someone then who's got energy. Right,
yeah.
They've got enthusiasm, they're working towards something, compared to being demotivated or unmotivated. What's the right word there?
Unmotivated?
Yeah, I reckon.
It's our podcast, mate. We can make it up.
That's true.
Whatever you want.
Whereas if you think about that person, they're probably sat on the sofa, slouching, bag of chips in the hand, watching Netflix.
Yeah. And motivation, it's just attractive, isn't it? Ooh, you got two people there, same person on the same path. One's fucking sucking, doing absolutely nothing, and the other one's just like, yeah, okay, for whatever reason, had a bit of bad luck, not enjoying this, but I'm raring to go. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. You're going, I want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, big time. Want that to rub off on you, for sure.
Yeah. But first, mate, we got the old usual catch-up, because I know that everyone's probably thinking, what's been happening in the life of Paley and Harv? We're super invested. Tell us, boys.
Right, we're not going to keep him anymore. So you had the big one, mate. We have beautiful baby Harper, who's now in the world.
Mate, she's here. She arrived Wednesday, the 14th of May.
What time?
6:05 p.m.
Love it. Have you put her astrology date into Gene Keys yet?
No, I haven't, mate.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, oh, God. Ads is going all woo-woo. Yeah, but she's here, mate. It's been interesting first few days.
How's Brit?
Yep, she's good. Recovered really well.
Quick turnaround, isn't it?
Fuck yeah, she was having contractions from 8 a.m. But she's like, oh, is it Braxton Hicks? I don't know. And I'm like, well,
fuck's that?
Braxton Hicks is the women can get fake contractions almost.
Okay.
It feels like you're going into labour, but you're not.
She's good at faking it.
We're talking about motivation, right? That is not motivational.
Shit.
But I'm sat here in the office and I'm like, oh, I've got a job brief at 11. If you could just kind of hold on or let me know. I was like, look, if it's happening, give me the double phone call and I know I'll be ready to go. I'm halfway through this job brief with a CFO and the actual founder of this guy of 6 companies, and I'm trying to recruit someone that's going to start a new basically be the founder almost of this new startup for him. I looked down at my watch and she's gone, yep, you need to come home. We're definitely on. So I've just gone, oh, hey lads, sorry about this. I'm going to have to bounce. So it was a bit hectic. But
they took it all right, the guys?
Oh, mate, they were like, I think they were surprised I was on the video call. They were like, oh, yeah, go and get it done. It was at the end anyway, so it was all right. But, mate, by the time we went to hospital, we gave big Andy Roo the big call at 3:30. I was like, mate, get to my house now. And then we got to the hospital at about 4:30, 5. And an hour later, there was a baby.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And how's Blake being, the big sister?
Yeah, she's just at that stage as a 2-year-old that she's just a bit of a knob at times anyway. Like, she's so angry.
Wonder where she gets that from.
Yeah, she's bold as well. Nah, Blakey loves her. Like, she's really warming up to her, giving her like nice big like face smushes.
Love it.
Bit too rough at times. You're like, all right, calm down. But yeah, she's enjoying it.
Nice, mate. That's really good. Good to have you back in amongst after a couple of days.
Yeah, good to get back into the routine. Everyone knows I'm a person of routine, so yeah, it throws me off when it's all over the gaff.
And the next one is a pretty cool one. So we just booked our end of financial year trip. Last year we went to Byron, and it was a bit different to this year because we had 3 people starting, and their first day was in the house in Byron, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we kind of didn't really know what we were about as a business. We didn't really know how everyone was going to gel, and it was cool. Everyone kind of got along really well, and it was a good time. But definitely feel a lot more organised this year and kind of been coming, go, great, this is the crew we've got. This is what we want to achieve out of the trip. And the place is pretty fucking sick as well.
We have we have rented for 3 nights the sickest house in Byron Bay, I think.
It was actually the one that was on the Inspired Unemployed skit back in a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, where they're walking around pretending it's like a day spa. And you open each room, and then you've got Falks or Jack doing some scat stuff.
Oh, like the scream healing and all that.
And one of them's dead in the ice bath.
It's where all the Instagrammers go. And like now, because we pay like $500 a month for a blue tick on Instagram, we thought, why not? If you can't beat them, join them.
But that will be cool. And it's double whammy, right? Yes, it's cool. The team are all buzzing, which is the most important thing. Everyone feels excited and feels like they get the kind of rewards of the hard work they do. We'll get a lot of cool content when we're there as well. We got Jimmy coming down, obviously with Rosie too, to film a load of stuff. Yeah, which will be pretty class. We have also set a little goal between now and the end of financial year as well, haven't we, mate? To put a few more pennies back in the pockets.
Yeah, we set it maybe, I think it was like 2 months ago. 2 months ago we set it, and we were like, right, what big stretchy goal can we set these guys? If everyone hits it, they all get a $5,000 cash bonus. And we're like, let's make it something that's going to be like really, really hard to achieve. But the fuckers are ticking it off.
Getting close, aren't we?
Yeah, like we need a good solid last period, but it's with what's happening, it's doable.
Yes, I think for context, it'll be not our biggest ever month we need to hit, but it'll be pretty up there. Which we've got momentum. We've got good runs on the board at the moment. Things are going well, and trades are flying. Yeah, Katie's up and running now. Should be getting her first couple of placements in, which is massive. Branding's looking fucking sick. Thanks to Rosie.
So it's going to be expensive end of financial year trip when they all hit it.
You won't be able to afford the blue tick anymore. Back to the Pomo lives.
Oh, it'll be good though, mate. It'll be good. What else? What's else happening? Oh, we did an awesome content day. I'm sure by now people have seen a fair bit of it. We hired out a nice studio down in Burley. Got big man Alistair Randall down there. One of the best photographers I've actually seen. Like the photos he does are incredible. I did get a little bit butthurt. In the photography world, you get what you call as a hair light that's from behind. And like, so for ads, he's got big bushy hair, lots of greys now, but lots of thick hair. So it kind of like lights up the hair from behind. I jump in, having my pictures done, and Al's like took a couple, looked at them and gone, nah, I need to turn the hair light off, mate. It's fucking, your bold lid's glaring.
Oh, it's not fair, is it?
Nah.
He's good though. Al's the kind of photographer who gives you the pump ups. So you're there and he's going, yeah, this is great. This is so good. And cheers out. He feels so confident and sexy.
He's actually blind as well.
Yeah, he's been all over the world, hasn't he?
Yeah, the big man's been everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been to Nashville, where we're off to in a couple of months as well.
Yeah.
He's a man of the world, old Al.
Yeah. Oh, don't talk about the Bucks, mate. You know, you get like, when you talk about that, calm down.
But anyway, catch up over. Everyone's on track with what's going on in the world of Harwell and podcasts. Let's get into the meaty stuff.
Let's have it.
Let's absolutely have it. So motivation. we've got 3 sections that we've kind of broke it down into, and we think this covers all of it pretty well. The first one is the identity and the internal drivers of motivation, because we've all been the people and know the people who get excited for a day, for an hour, for a minute, and then are straight back into exactly what they were doing beforehand.
Yeah, it's so true. James Clear, Atomic Habits, incredible book. He talks about it really well. He's like, if you want to stop drinking, you don't say, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. You kind of you have to change and slip into that identity of I am not an alcohol drinker. So it's just that becoming the person. And probably the best way we can describe it from our personal experiences is when it went down the path that we went down as young lads to become professional footballers. Like, there is nothing else that comes through your mind from the age of 12 or 13 up until the day you get the no, which can be very difficult, but it just becomes your identity. I think you said on a previous episode, it was like, I'm Adam Powell, I had this kind of reputation to uphold of being one of the best players in my age group, and that became your identity. So when your identity is set, your motivation, everything in life is towards that identity.
And it's so easy then to say no to things because you go, oh no, I'm Adam, I'm the footballer. Like, when you're 13, 14, 15, kids start smoking and shit at school. It's easy to go, oh nah, I'll play football. I'm going to be a footballer. And it's just bang done. Like, there's no kind of peer pressure because they go, oh yeah, he knows he's going to be a footballer. He might not believe it 100% deep down, but that's the external kind of impression that you give off to other people.
And people, without having, you say no, but it's like people just stop asking you. Like, I remember when I first kind of packed in the booze for that 6-month period, like for the first couple of months, it was like this big identity change and everyone's like, oh, he's half all right. Like, what's wrong with him? But after a while, oh yeah, half doesn't drink anymore. So it's just like all of a sudden it becomes really easy because people have learned this new identity as you have, which then the motivation to continue that continues because it's so much easier because it's just who you've become.
And I think it's when you get in the routine of it as well, to not do it, you feel like you're letting yourself down. Like you when you're running, for example, right? Like you knock out like 40, 50 Ks a week. You don't just go for a run, you're a runner. That's what you do. That's who you are now. But at least you tick off this marathon. Same with Fit Stop, like if we set our goals in Harwell and it was personal goal, and I'd be saying, I want to go to Fit Stop 5 times a week. And after a couple of weeks, I was like, you know what? That's just what I do. It's not even a goal anymore. That is the baseline.
Are you on the Legends wall yet?
I think I'm on 56 weeks. So I'm 6 weeks away from getting on the wall.
Fuck, I might just 2-foot you around the office today or something so you can't go. That would be class.
When we do the podcast after that, I want to sit on the throne. I don't want to be on the sofa.
Oh my God. Can you go head to toe Fit Stop gear? Yeah. And then maybe we'll get Pete Hull on.
Yeah, actually, that's a shout. Hey, mate, I'm actually one of the legends. Would you want?
You go, another dickhead fell for that legend wall thing. Cheers for your $60 a week, mate.
Cheers, Pete.
Yeah.
So your identity is massive, and I think that's the first step. And it's kind of a fake it before you make it thing with this. You're not going to fully believe it and be 100% every single time, but you've got to make yourself think that you are, right? I am now Adam the Fit Stopper, right? Was I when I first went for 2-3 sessions a week and then missed a couple of days? No, but in my head I was. And that's what then got me to be so consistent and going 5-6 times a week. And that's one example. There's so many you could do now, even billings wise, right? They're talking about what you achieve at work for us in recruitment. And Matt Costens talks about it being, when you become $1 million biller, you will never ever go below that because that's your identity. So you do whatever it takes to maintain that because that's what people see you as.
So with that in mind, we're talking about it becoming your identity. Relating that back to motivation, is it then easier to become motivated because of your identity, or is it because you've got that identity, you have to uphold that, so it's the motivation not to kind of let people down or fall below that?
I reckon it's both. I think it's the motivation to get there in the first place.
Yeah.
And then when it's your identity, it's probably the motivation to not lose your identity.
Yeah.
Does that make a bit of sense?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's back to the internal battle and the dialogue of not wanting to let yourself down, right? Because then you feel like a loser.
And what is motivating for you, right? Is it intrinsic? Is it stuff inside you that motivates you? Or is it a pat on the back? Is it a big commission check? Is it, other people thinking that you're a really good recruiter or dad or whatever it is? So finding out what motivates you, which I still don't think we've got down 100%. ourselves?
Nah, we went through a big journey with this, didn't we? When we were kind of setting our goals, if you like, with Jess Cameron, and we're talking about what we want and what motivates us. And I always used to just revert to, I wanted to earn $1 million a year personal income. And that was my motivation. But then I think I told the story where I did a 100K month and I just felt empty. And I was like, well, if that's my goal, like surely I should be feeling so motivated and happy that I've done that. And she was like, yeah, because that's not your real goal. That's not what motivates you. And when we really strip it back and we unpack it to why, okay, what does that $1 million a year allow you to do? Who do you help? Blah, blah, blah. And you kind of go all the way back and you go, okay, that's what motivates you. And when when we were able to do that, and whether it's paying off mum's mortgage, I was even thinking of that on the drive in the car this morning. I was like, how good will it be that day where we can just go, call up her mum's and go, here you go, here's like 200 grand or whatever to pay off your mortgage. That's motivated me. So it's still $1 million a year as the kind of goal or what allows us to do that. But the motivation is that.
We're so lucky that we both got the same why in that sense. I was on the phone to mum the other day and said the same thing. I was telling her all about what's going on here and things that we're working on and stuff. And I said, look, the plan is just to call you one day and say, don't worry about a thing ever again. You know, you, Haley, Zach, my nephew, you're done.
Don't worry.
And obviously your mum said, you don't need to do that. And you kind of, I don't need to. But that's why we probably work as hard as we do and why we've pushed through so many levels early on, is because you see the more impact you could have by just working that bit harder or just being that bit ballsier in terms of aiming a little bit higher. It's not about having a 7-8 figure business. All that stuff doesn't really bother me. It's more so the impact you can do after that.
Yeah. I think my mum's come out of that phase of like, oh, no, you don't have to. I FaceTime her. She's cranking out another 50-hour week as a theatre nurse working for the NHS. And she's like, yeah.
How many PD calls you need?
She manages me. She's like, all right, how long now? So no, that's good. But I guess tying that back into motivation, which is today, right? It's motivation becomes a lot easier when you find your real kind of true values of motivation and you're working towards that every single day. And I guess the emotional attachment to those. And another thing that I know we'll probably discuss later in this episode is, okay, the motivator is helping our family or $1 million of income a year, but what small micro steps or goals can you tick off along the way to show that you're kind of moving towards that bigger end goal, but also celebrating the small wins? And you have to touch the goalpost before you move it. So what kind of small things can you set along the way to keep you motivated to continue? Because we're all motivated by achievement, right? And if you're just slogging away for 5 years for this one big crazy goal, you're not going to get there, right? You're going to give up.
Yeah, that's it. It's about getting the stamina to achieve it, right? So the small tasks are gold. And there's actually a stat for you I've got here, mate. Would you believe it?
Yes.
If you split up, if your motivation spikes by 33%, when that big goal is then split into smaller goals. So you're a third more likely to hit the same goal if you just break it down into smaller ones and tick them off over the way.
Fucking done.
Why wouldn't you? You'd be mad not to.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, one thing you told me, which really surprised me before this episode, 80% of New Year's resolutions fail.
Again, why do you think that is?
Because people just set them for the sake of it, do you think?
For sure, because they feel just like social pressure. Oh shit, it's New Year's Eve. Old mate's going to run a marathon this year. What am I going to do? So it doesn't really come from a deep place of actual, intent or desire. It's really just, like I'm going to fucking run a lot of kilometers this week or this year. Like it's not really anything genuine inside. But also the identity doesn't change to match the motivation, right? They say, yeah, I'm going to run a marathon, which is great, but are you going to run 5K and then do your 10 and then do your intervals and then have the deload week and then ramp back up again and then it's raining outside and then your foot hurts? Are you going to then stick to it?
Sounds like my last week.
And you lose your hair and then you Mate, you actually set me up for that massively.
Mate, I think it's time for the Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
I think it is time. We're talking about motivation and that goal. And my best mate, Jimmy Carr, who is class. I was doom scrolling last night and I saw a video and what he said, I sent it to you and you were like, this is class.
You have to say this on the pod.
Yeah, but it's quite long and I reckon I'm going to fuck it up when I read it. So here goes.
It's a one take only. We're not clipping this.
Oh, God, here we go. Right, 3, 2, 1. Now, Jimmy Carr said that you can't have an easy life and a great character. He says, show me a trust fund kid that inherited a bunch of money and I'll show you someone who's been mentally tortured. Having stuff isn't fun. Getting stuff is fun. It's not the pursuit of happiness. It's the happiness of the pursuit. It's the self-help. It's not either the journey or the destination. It's who you become on the journey. And here's the terrible thing about life. It's self-assignment. There's school and college, and then you get dropped into the real world and you must decide what you're going to do. You can take an easy path and it's ultimately less fun. It's short money. Or you can take the hard path and give yourself a challenge and it's great. It's hard to do. Life is tough and those things are tough to hear. He said, I don't think you get self-esteem from the six-pack you get at the gym. I think you get self-esteem from being the type of person that goes to the gym every single day. You get better at it. The weight doesn't get lighter. Your back just gets stronger. Jimbo.
That's elite.
That's so true, right? You know, we're talking about, yes, the goal is $1 million or the goal is to run a marathon. And that is the goal, but it's the person you become along that journey of, I know that when I'm training for a marathon, I'm dialed in. I eat well. I don't drink. I stick to my routine. And yes, that makes me fitter and more healthier, but the kind of trade-off for that is I'm better at work. I'm a better business partner. I'm a better dad. I'm a better boyfriend. It's just fucking so true.
You can't underestimate the impact of just the one part. Like, for example, you run with Riley and Jake Edwards, right? Guys you probably wouldn't have been as close with if you were half 2 years ago because you wouldn't have as much in common. Whereas now you've got connections there and who knows where that connection is going to lead you down the track. Just making that small decision to start running a marathon, now the impact that could have on the rest of your life is just outrageous.
I think it's one of the things that has kind of really helped me find peace. You know, people always say it's like just kind of be in the present and enjoy the present. And I always struggled to do that. I thought it was a bit of a myth. I was just always working towards that goal. But it's like when you actually break it down, yeah, the goal is good. And on the day that I run the marathon, hopefully I hit my target and we'll have a few beers after. But what I do truly love is the person that it makes me along that journey. So the big man Jim has absolutely nailed it there.
Good. We love you, Jimmy. Mate, values and motivation. Because if this is a really interesting one, and this is stuff we've kind of learned from the likes of Jess Cameron, from Mel, who was incredible, who came on, who we met.
He comes on next week.
Yeah, well, we met her a couple of weeks ago. It's about the tasks that you're doing actually being in line with your values. If they're not going to motivate you for long-term change, but also when you do get to the end result, if it's not in line with your values, you still feel empty, frustrated, burnt out because it's not the person you want to become or not the person you are already, which is, it's crazy, right? Because I think you can be motivated to look at Alex Hormozy or some of these guys who are absolute animals. You know, they work 15 hours a day. They've got more money they can count with. They've got awesome personal brands. But if that's not the right kind of person that you are internally, to try and chase that and achieve that, even if you get there, you're still not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, it's so true. You got to pick your poison, really, haven't you? Like for Alex Hormozy, his values are business and success. Like he is completely at peace with the life he's chosen. Like even when he met his now wife Layla, he started dating her and he said, the one thing I've got to be clear with you is the business always comes first. And if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. We can move on. And she's kind of a similar style person, so it worked for her. But that's their values, right? You can't be an Alex Hormozy if you're also a father that wants to be present and have dinner with his children every night and not traveling around the country. You know, even we've discussed, do we open a Sydney office? Do we open a Melbourne office? But then when you actually look into what that means of us traveling around, I'm like, nah, for an extra office and, you know, a few more staff, I don't want to be leaving my partner on her own all week with 2 young children. That's not tied in with my values.
I think when we spoke about that, it was like, oh yeah, that could be cool. Are you going to go down there? And you're like, no, are you? I was like, no.
All right. That one could go on the burn it pile. What's next?
Before we move on into how to make motivation stick long-term, intrinsic versus extrinsic. I always fuck that word up. Is it extrinsic or X? Extrinsic.
No, you've got extrinsic.
Yeah, again, it's our podcast, so I would say everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
So internal is external. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
being motivated by external factors isn't negative. It sounds like it's shallow and vain and you just want people to think you're doing really well. But for me, some of the work we've been doing is status is really important. I like when people think that we're doing well. And I think that comes back from being, working class kid growing up, moving from West Brom to Worcester, which Worcester was a bit posher, a bit nicer. And I've got this Brummie accent and I spoke like this. And obviously you get picked on as a kid. Massive, yeah. You get picked on as a kid. You're probably seen as a bit of a lower class because West Brom was a lower socioeconomic place. So I think that's been embedded in me to go, no, I'm actually not beneath you at all. I'm actually on par or, depending on what you're at, potentially doing better in certain senses.
It's a human brain as well, mate. Like people love being told, like whether you think you're fucking ego driven or not, humans love being told how good they are and that they're doing well and they are perceived to be achieving by others. That motivates anyone. Maybe sometimes not as much as the intrinsic, which we'll touch on in a minute, but I don't care what anyone says. If someone comes to you every day or every time you catch up with this person, they say, wow, mate, looks like you guys are killing it. Like, what are you doing? That pumps you up.
But then what about people you don't really look up to? I guess what I'm trying to get here is if it's someone who we look up to in terms of business, let's use the business for a sense, and they go, boys, you boys are on fire. It looks so good. Great. Congrats. That holds a lot of weight. Whereas if it's someone who, you've met a couple of times in the pub and they're not really business minded, and that's not an avenue for them that, they hold much merit, and they go, oh, business is going great for you. The impact that has on you changes so much depending on who's giving you the feedback as well.
Yeah, I think it's a very different feeling. I think the pump up from the fella in the pub is still nice. It's good. You just go, yeah, cool, appreciate that. Like I just enjoy it. I think the pump up from someone that we probably idolize in business or we maybe have as a mentor, it kind of like puts my mind at ease. I'm like, okay, cool. This guy thinks we're doing really well. It must mean we're on the right track. So it motivates me in a different sense. It motivates me in the sense of, keep doing what you're doing. Trust the process. That's what's got us here. And if he thinks we're doing well and he's 10 steps ahead of us, that's what's going to get us where he is.
Pat on the back. And then what about intrinsic? Because this is always one I find hard to put into words. Like, again, let's bring it back to recruitment, right? So KPIs. Recruitment's traditionally quite a KPI heavy business where you need to do X amount of BD calls, X amount of candidate calls, meet so many candidates face to face, send so many CVs. I've never really been driven by the KPI of the actual activity. It's more, even the outcomes. Like it's more so just the feeling that I'm driven by. And I could have $1 on the board, I could have 100K. I'm still going to operate at the same level of intensity and do the same work. If I've told a client they're going to have a shortlist by Wednesday, they're going to get a shortlist by Wednesday. It's more so that motivates me rather than just ticking the boxes and going, oh yeah, great, I've done 100 calls this week. None of them actually want to speak to me ever again. But I said I was going to do 100 and I did it.
I think it's back to people really needing to unearth their values. And again, we've done it with people like Jess. We did it with Dave as well. One of your values is kind of being the agent and helping others. So whether you've done 100 calls or whether you've done 10 or whether you've done $1 or 100,000, at the core of that, you're still being the agent. You're still making connections. You're still helping people on their journey, which I think lights you up, which is that intrinsic motivation. And similar to mine, it's kind of, I've really come into my own since we've developed a team here, because one of my values is kind of like helping others around me and more about the group as such. So it just, it's back to really unearthing what the values are. Because at the start of this journey, we just thought it was a dollar figure, didn't we?
Literally. And then the lifestyle it can give us outside of work, rather than getting fulfilled from the work itself. It was great. We can make good money. So then we can sit on the beach, we can go on holiday, and that's what's going to fulfill us. Finding the fulfillment in the day to day. And I think it might even look like we put it on, some of the stuff we put on social media and the way we kind of are, it might look like we're fucking putting fake smiles on, and it can't be this good all the time. And good's probably the wrong word, but it's definitely this fulfilling. Even when it's a tough day and shit goes wrong, we still just look at each other and go, fucking well, let's strap in, backs to the wall, here we go. And I always prefer those times sometimes.
Yeah, so how do we help someone that's listened to this now and going, brilliant, that's great, you boys have gone and sought the help of professionals, but how do I do that? I haven't got the budget to do that. I haven't been on that journey. What can I do to really kind of unearth my values?
A good one is probably ask the 5 people closest to you what they think your values are.
Nice.
Because people who know you the best and know you deep down rather than just an external face that you put on if you're at the pub or whatever. And before you do that, find out for yourself, write down what you think your values are, and you're onto a winner if those answers are matching up.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I think another one as well is pick your life goals. What are your 3 life goals? For me, it was at $1 million, but then reverse engineer that, but just go one step further every time. Okay, what does that $1 million allow me to do? First answer was financial freedom. What is financial freedom? It's this. But what does that allow me to do? What does that mean? And keep on going until there's one answer and you write it down and it hits you in the feels.
So right now, then what are your values?
It's all about giving. So it's all about, the financial freedom one was all about the experiences I can give my partner, Britt, and my kids, because that's probably as a result of growing up in not a great socioeconomic place and not having those experiences myself, or having to work extremely hard or be disciplined to have some of the nice things. So I want to give them the freedom to enjoy that without it. It's right down to the guilt of my mum sacrificed so much for us to have those things as kids. So there's probably an element of guilt of wanting to pay her back, which again, all ties back to that financial goal. But now I'm tapping into the stuff that gets you feeling emotional when you talk about it. So when I said I'm driving in this morning, and I'm not just thinking, hey, I want to come in and fill a job and make 20K. I go, hey, I'm going to come in and make 10 BD calls today so I can pay my mum's mortgage off in the next 5 years. You come in on a different level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't fail.
No, you just, and all of a sudden the phone call you're scared of making, or whatever it might be in your line of work, it's not scary anymore, because you're like, okay, well, could I get told to fuck off 7 million times in a row? And in 5 years, it means I'm going to pay my mum's mortgage off? Yeah, no worries.
And you can flip that on its head as well and say, okay, if you're happy, are you happy to not pay off your mum's mortgage because you were too scared to pick up the phone?
Yeah. That hurts when you say that. I'm like, oh, you absolute flog.
What a loser.
What a loser.
That's good. No, motivation's great, but I think the word itself is quite temporary, right? You get motivation and you lose motivation. So how do you make sure that stays and it turns into something more longer term?
Yeah, well, it's kind of really the second point we've got here, isn't it? It's that structure over hype.
Nice.
You like that?
That's good.
Yeah. And what is that? So we've got here that motivation needs a plan. So you need to make that success measurable, and actually set specific goals and targets. So once you've gone through that process, you've worked out the values behind your actual goals. Well, what are the micro steps to get there? Because just working towards one big scary goal, it can be relentless. Like I know with our labour hire guys, and we're still learning every day, because up until a week or two ago, the goal for labour hire for Andy and Chloe is we feel they are good enough to bill $1 million in a calendar year as a pair of two, right? And the goal is just being $1 million. So at the end of every week, when they're not at that $1 million mark yet, is that a fail? It's not a fail, but if you don't set the smaller goals or the structure to get there, it can be deemed as a fail. And that's where I think motivation can really fade. And effectively, that's why 80% of New Year's resolutions fail. So it's those micro goals. Like we've manufactured it and we've broken it down. Okay, to get to $1 million by this date, you need a net profit gain every week of 2 temp workers. Say to the guys, do you think it's possible to get a net gain of 2 temp workers every week? They're like,
100%.
Yeah, easy. I'm like, okay, if you do that for the next 18 weeks, you've got $1 million desk. Does that sound easy? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, when we hit that and you've got a sustainable number, do you think you can probably continue doing that for another 10 to 20 weeks? They're like, yeah. All of a sudden, you're way beyond that initial goal, but you've made it sound so simple by breaking it down into small actionable steps that are trackable and easy to celebrate the small wins. And you get that dopamine and you stay motivated. Okay, we're 1 week closer. We're 1 week closer. And before you know it, you're there.
And because they're so good at what they do, and they are A players, which we've covered so many times, to know that the goal is
I'll go again.
To know the goal is 2 workers a week, they're not just going for 2. They're going, what if we get 3? Then what? Then, okay, we can do 1.5 mil, whatever that translates to down the track. That's the way they think. That's the way they operate, right? But that only comes by making it really clear of what a pass mark is. And then if you want to go above and beyond that, which luckily in our role, you don't just get paid for your time, you get paid for your output. right? So they know they can go make more money by doing 3 workers, 4 workers a week rather than just the 2.
Yeah. How do you do that then in everyday life? Because that's really easy for us in the business setting, where ultimately the bigger you get in business, Simon Beard talks about it so well. He's like, to scale to 7 figures or even to 8 figures as an e-commerce brand, you can go just off kind of pure grit, determination, hard work. He's like, but the step from 8 to 9, it's all about your data, all about your numbers, which is great in a business setting. How do we do that if your goal is not purely tangible like that?
I think take action is the biggest thing. I'm thinking of an example in my head. I'm feeling great. I've just been for a run. You know what? I want to start a new diet, right? Now, where do you go from that idea, that feeling, motivation, endorphins are flowing through your body? What can you go and achieve right there and then to then make that a bit more of your reality? All right, so that might be you jump on ChatGPT, do me a 7-day meal plan using these foods at these times and this level of macros. You might go and sign up to an evidence-based training. You go and do that for you. You might just commit to learning more about what a good diet is. You might then download a podcast which talks about nutrition and the way you can increase that and what impact that could have. But as soon as you take that action, it then brings it into life. It's not just one of them ones where, yeah, I feel great. Now the endorphins are gone. Now I'm just going to go get an almond croissant on the way home and, sit on the sofa.
Yeah, it's almost back to that identity shift, isn't it? Okay, the goal is I want to be super fit and healthy, lose 10 kg, whatever that might be. But what are the small micro steps to get you there? It's almost building the vehicle around you that's going to get you there. And if you go and listen to health and wellness podcasts and you go, right, okay, small micro step, every week I'm going to listen to 3 podcasts. Is it maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours of my life? Can I find that? Yeah, no worries. All of a sudden, hearing that sort of information week after week after week, it starts to shift the identity. So then sticking to the meal plan that you've outlined off a ChatGPT or an evidence-based training, all of a sudden starts to become really, really easy because your identity from these podcasts has been shifted. And then it's just a knock-on effect. Then the weight drops because of it. And then, okay, well now ads is known as...
because you look good.
Yeah, ads, yeah, you're motivated because you look good. And ads is no longer known as, the unfit, healthy person. He's fucking in great nick. Bang, done. Problem solved.
And it's almost a never-ending loop then. So you're motivated, so you take action. And then that action motivates you even further. And then you take more action. And then you just keep rolling and rocking and rolling like that. Yes, there's tough times. Yes, there's the motivation wanes and you go, fuck, I can't be asked for this. Normally that's the fear in the back of your head, looking at other things of your life. Okay, I'm not the person I think I am. I'm becoming someone else. That's scary. Why don't we just stop? Why don't we go back to the way we were? Life was good, that little devil on the shoulder. So there's levels to the change as well. And I think one thing we've got written down on here is probably the accountability side of it.
Yeah.
If you can go and do this change with someone, that's why if you get a gym partner, it's so much easier to stick it out. If you sign up for a meal plan with someone together, you can do the meal prep and cook in one. Way easier to stick to. And I've got another stat if you'd like one.
Yes, please.
Well, you're 65% more likely half.
That's tickled me, that. I've got another stat if you'd like one. No, go on.
You're 65% more likely to hit the goal if you commit it to someone else. So if I tell you I'm going to the gym 5 times this week, I'm 65% more likely to stick to it because then I'm not letting myself down, I'm letting you down as well.
It's actually fucked, right, the way that the human brain works, isn't it? Because I've said this to so many people before. I know this morning I've got a run booked in with Riley and Jake. I've got a newborn. She wakes up. You lose a bit of sleep. But because I'm doing it with the boys, there is absolutely no way I'm not going. Whereas my run last Friday, albeit it was 2 days into newborn life, I woke up. It had been a shit night's sleep. I wasn't going with anyone. I stayed in bed. It's like absolutely bonkers that I'm more likely to fucking break a promise to myself than I am to you. The human brain is almost like in this constant mode of like self-destruct or just containing you. And it's like, you just got to try and fucking fight it constantly.
I just don't get it. Hey, we're that smart. The brain's that good. Why can't it recognize that pattern and recognize that, oh, actually that voice in the back of your head telling you not to worry about it, don't go for the run and just get a Macca's for breakfast. That's actually not a great bit of advice, mate.
Imagine if your brain actually said to you, and I've got another stat if you'd like one.
Listen here, loser.
Loser. The one quote that I do genuinely love, it's all about choosing your hard, right?
Yeah.
You know, being disciplined, going to the gym, eating well, the 4 a.m. mornings, working out, that's fucking hard. There is absolutely no way around it. It's really hard. But at the same time, being overweight, unhealthy, hating yourself, you don't have the chemical dopamine release that exercise gives you, that's really fucking hard as well. And I think, again, people just slip into that because it's the easy option, and your brain, although they're both hard, your brain just wires and is so comfortable with choosing the easy option that you've always been used to. And it's just finding that motivation just to make the shift and go, I'm going to do the hard thing, but it's only actually hard for a while, isn't it?
How much easier is that to do if you're in it with someone else and you're both going through it, and you both have days where you can't be asked, hopefully on different days where you drag each other through? To do it by yourself, it takes some amount of ticker and willpower. And I guess even the business, we speak about it all the time, how lucky we are to have the bond we've got and to do this together. There might be days where I'm just not on or shit's gone wrong, and then you either take more of the slack of the business or just pull me out of it. And mate, you fucking serious? Look what we're doing. Give your head a wobble and you go, shit, you're so right.
Yeah.
To not have that, it'd be impossible to go and achieve what you would. What's that other quote? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Wow.
I didn't even fuck that one up as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Thanks.
Rosie just got goosebumps. She fell off a chair. I think that was more because you actually got the quote right.
But that's a good one.
Yeah. Talk us through that one, mate.
Well, this is my take on it. So if you want to go fast, go by yourself, because you can just make decisions. You can do it, fail fast, learn, go again. Particularly me, the type of personality type I am. I just steam head first into stuff, see where the things land, and go, okay, now we've got another decision to make. Where do we go? And just keep running through wall after wall. Is that the best way to live your life and do business? Probably not. So having someone like you there on the other side of the coin is, okay, maybe let's look at all the information. Maybe
say what you really want to say. Say what you want to say, man.
No, I won't say that.
Ads was fucking getting his hair out, right? Because I was 20 minutes, 30 minutes behind to start this podcast. And his D personality, he's taken over. And he was sat in this room and I could feel him like bubbling up. And he's like, I was like, mate, can you come and give me a bit of help? And he's like, yeah, I need a fucking bit of help recording this podcast. It's not One Bloke, One Business, is it? And I was like, mate, I'm trying to help Katie.
I lost my train of thought now. But long story short, we wouldn't be as far along as we are if we did this business individually. No way. And you'd cap out way sooner than you would. And I guess it's another quote for you if you want. I've got fucking loads today.
Can we just change this to just the quote episode?
Yeah. It's like 1 + 1 = 3.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
In terms of like, when we put our brains together, we don't just have my ideas and yours and then we kind of settle on one of them. We normally just mesh them together and come up with this idea that is way better than both of the ones that we had because of the brain power we've got together.
Yeah, spot on. And our mate Chad in the background.
3 brains.
Fucking 3 brains, whatever else. I love it. But I guess for anyone, okay, brilliant, you two are in business together, right? Super easy. Accountability. Accountability can come in so many different forms. Like, had a chat with a friend of ours, probably going back a couple of months, was probably going through some of the same kind of mental health struggles that I went through a few years ago. And I just said to him, I was like, okay, what are we going to do? What are our 3 action points for the next 3 months? We know what this big end goal is of the life we want to build, but for the next 3 months, what are 3 things we're going to commit to? So we built out those 3 things. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to be your accountability person throughout this. So every now and then I just check in. How are you going on those 3 things? Maybe sometimes you go, fuck, actually, yeah, I've let a couple of them slip. But just by me physically saying, how are you going? And him having to say, hey, I've let things slip. I can guarantee you the last few days since we had that conversation, it's put him back on track.
Because the next time you call him, he does not want to be saying the same thing again.
No, because then it's like, well, you're not that, it's not that bad. So that's the power of accountability, mate.
I love it. And then is routine boring, right? Because I think what we're talking about here, fit stop 5 a.m., do the same, like the smoothies. I've had the same smoothie for the last 7 years of my life.
Read what you've got next on the board.
So under this quote, I've got Adam smoothies, half autistic. What do I mean by that, mate, do you think?
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Two Blokes One Business podcast.
Now, apart from being world-class podcasters, we also run a recruitment agency called Harwell.
If you're keen to learn a little bit more about what we do, then head over to our Instagram at Harwell Group and check us out.
Back to the app.
I am like obsessive over routine. Like I don't know what it is. When I'm in a routine, my mind is just at ease.
Quiet.
And I can just go through the motions, but it's going through the motions at like extremely high output. I think it's because it's familiarity. You're just in the flow. When things get scattered and all over the shop with like public holidays, I'm just like, what are we doing again? So that's why he thinks I'm autistic.
For me, I think it's decision fatigue as well. Like every day, if I had to wake up and go, "Oh, what am I having for brekkie?" It's just that little micro decision that you haven't got to make. And then let's say you can't be asked to cook. You're then giving yourself the out to go and get a bacon leg roll on the way to work. So straight away, you have to make a decision you didn't need to, and then your diet's fucked already.
Yeah, and it's just so much easier to do when like those things are just taken care of. It's so much then easier to stick to your fucking good diet routine, which means you feel good. We can go over it again and again. It probably sounds repetitive, but people should probably take something from that all of these things go hand in hand. So if you can start, you're gonna have the motivation, if you like, just to get one or two of those things pumping. All the other worries that you've got, it's not this big scary goal of I need to turn my whole life around and change these 25 different areas of my life. We'll get one or two sorted, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 happen organically, and then all of a sudden you've got 6 sorted, so the next 6 happen. Fucking easy, isn't it?
Amazing. Mate, when you were saying that, the old football shout popped into my head.
It's not Fat Piggy again.
No, not that one. It was, when you go 1-0 up, and then you're running back to the halfway line. From 1 comes 2, lads.
Turn the knife.
Turn the knife. Yeah, but it's so right. Like, just the momentum of getting things going. If you can go and sort your diet out, then you can have more energy to train. If you can have a good diet and you're training well, you're probably then going to go and sleep better because you're more tired. Then you're going to get up earlier, which means you can potentially invest more in your relationships. Like, it does not stop, does it?
No. I'm just thinking there, like we're probably pissing people off that are listening to this and going, yeah, I get it. But they're probably the people that need to make the change.
It's difficult to hear, isn't it, sometimes?
Last point.
What have you covered, right? So your identity, your values is the task you're trying to achieve actually in line with what you should be doing and what motivates you to do them.
Yeah.
And then you've decided, yes, they do. I'm going to make the change. What's the structure and what's the process in place around it to make sure that motivation does last? It doesn't just wane away. And then the next one is probably the mental side of it.
Yeah, it's like how many people in the world find this identity of, okay, I want to start a business. These are the small things or the business plan, if you like. There's so many people in the world that are sat on business plans that they just won't start. And it's because you get to this point and it's that courage to actually pivot and go, okay, I've identified it, I've made the plan, but now you've got to actually make that big scary leap and actually pivot and pull the trigger. That's the real hard part.
Mads is a really good example for this. So she's launching...
Mads is Ads' partner.
Yeah, Solid
Mads
Supply.
and Ads.
Mads and Ads get hitched this year. Solid Supply Co. is going to be an outdoor, female-inspired outdoor living equipment company. Right, it's going to be a cracker, incredible idea. But even since been getting it set up, where you get designs done and you speak to suppliers and you wait for the product and then the product comes, the motivation levels that I see her go through change so much. As soon as there's been a bit of time and a few days of not much action, I can see it becomes a bit of an afterthought. And then the rest of the life's pressure and busyness and planning weddings kind of takes over. And then, yesterday she had a call with the guys at Ecom Capital about the website. And the lady's going, oh, your website looks awesome. Why you do this, and this. So today, Solly is everything to her again.
Yeah.
Great, let's get it going. Let's do this, let's do that. So it's catching yourself out when the motivation wanes and doing it anyway. And doing the hard stuff, even when it's hard to do it.
Yeah. And that goes back to accountability. Like Mads has obviously got you there, probably keeping her accountable with Solly, going, okay, what's next? Where are we up to? How far are you from launch? Which means she has to keep moving the needle. But at the same time as well, having the right people around you, which I think, again, we mentioned on a previous episode of she sees you coming in or coming home every day, super motivated, pumping, Harwell's growing. We got a new business idea that we're going to implement. Like that rubs off on you, and that probably almost keeps her accountable from a sense of, I don't want to be kind of left left behind in all of this. And that, I think, really helps people as well.
And it is identity as well. Like Mads is a teacher. So she has that voice in the back of the head going, you're just a teacher. You shouldn't be starting a business. This isn't for you, you know? But it's all just fear. There's no substance to it, right? She wasn't a teacher and then she became one. So now she can go and become a business owner. It's just the steps to take and having the belief in yourself, or people who believe in you around you as well, to shut that little voice up and do it anyway.
Yeah, you made a really good point before where you're saying like motivation comes in waves, and it still happens now, even at our stage. Like it's, and like you're talking about Mads with that element of doubt because motivation might be lower. Like at the moment, you've been kind of pushing me for a while that we need to get an EA, and I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, this, that, and the other. We got too much kind of fluff around the salespeople, but it's all come from a place of self-doubt. And like now I've really kind of broken it down and go, okay, what's the micro? What does an EA allow us to do? X, Y, Z, yada, yada. And it's like, okay, now the motivation's there for me. So it never really fucking goes away. You've just got to recognize what happens. And that's what I recognize. Okay, is this really because I don't want an EA, or is it something else? So let's really break it down and look at the granular sides of things.
And what do you reckon it was? What's the switch that's been flicked for you?
It's the imposter syndrome, mate. I'm like, okay, well, an EA takes this amount off our plate, so now it's the pressure to go and do that more kind of client facing, which it's stupid because that's what we love doing. But at the same time, I'm going, oh, okay, now there's the next level of pressure, or are we then kind of real business owners, if you like, that we've got someone that's helping arrange our work life and our personal lives? It's that imposter syndrome side of things. Whereas really, who gives a fuck what anyone else thinks?
You bang on. And I think obviously internal and external is different, but people from the outside looking in, if we get an EA, they wouldn't bat an eyelid because they'd see the amount of shit that we do and they go, how do you do it without one? Right? But it's internally going, my word, as two working class kids, how should we have someone on our emails or answering the phone? Who do we think we are?
Yeah. And you go back to looking at all the people we aspire to be in business, they've all got EAs. And we're talking about, okay, these guys are 10 steps ahead of us. What are they doing?
So then here's one step further, right? So if we think we can get to their level without an EA, how fucking obnoxious are we that we think we can spend the next 20 hours doing other stuff and still get to their level?
Yeah.
You know?
It's good, this podcast, isn't it?
I get so juiced out. I don't know how to talk my jumper on. I'm fucking about to lever it.
Oh, God. yeah, you're always learning in this world, isn't it?
Rosie's got the notepad out.
Yeah.
Mate, tall poppy syndrome, I don't really like the saying as such. And I don't see it as much as people comment on it in Australia. Maybe we didn't grow up here, so we're not too across it. But when people start to do well, it affects other people. It starts to highlight the fact that maybe they haven't made any changes and they are the person who says one thing but never actually follows through. So for you to be the one who takes the action, you know, says no to getting a Macca's, I'm going to go and eat my fucking banana at home for breakfast instead, their insecurities are going to make you feel a little bit weird because they're going to go, oh, you know, you think you're better than us, or you've changed. That's a favorite one. You've changed. So it's another layer of difficulty to make the change. You've solved it internally. You've gone, great. I know this is going to be a positive change to make. I've then gone and got the structure around me to make sure I've got the meal plan. This is going to happen. But then my best mate, Sally, is pissed off at me because I'm not going to Macca's with her anymore. I'm eating healthy.
It's difficult. You've got to question what that friendship is really built on. I know that.
Macca's.
Hash browns and a fucking egg McMuffin. Yeah, I don't know, man. I know that people around me that I'd be there, you know, high-fiving them, celebrating, and the people that I'm not, probably not that close with them. It's as simple as that, I think.
It's difficult, isn't it? And then circle of influence, right? If you can then still be friends with Sally, but maybe you don't eat breakfast with her, you go and eat it with people who are also on a bit of a healthy food kick, then that kicks you on again. That's that action that gives you more motivation to then probably start having healthy lunches as well, because you see everyone else you're around have healthy breakfast and lunches. This is a really loose metaphor, so I hope this makes a bit of sense.
Yeah. I think the penny just dropped that a better answer to your previous question. When you've gone through all of this journey of the identity shift, the structure, now we're making the pivot, probably the last thing is just acknowledging that stuff's going to change. Like your circle around you is going to change, life is going to change, and you've probably got to be really comfortable with that, because yes, you're going to lose some people along the way. You won't lose everyone. Like the ones that you kind of, your real true friends will remain. But the people that you're going to lose are because they're associated with a life that you are not enjoying. So Are you going to continue living in a life that you're not enjoying just because you're scared of losing a few people or people thinking you're going to change because they encourage habits that make you fucking miserable? That's probably the realization you need to come to, is that the people that actually fill up your cup and want you to be happy and succeed are the ones that will still be there kind of cheering you on, and they'll understand the change.
Fuck, it's scary, isn't it? I'm just thinking, putting myself in someone's shoes now who's in that rut, let's call it, and everyone else around them is as well. You've got to have so much balls to actually, and the courage to actually make a change and make it stick. But when you do, the blinkers come off, don't they? And you look back at the old you and you go, how the fuck was I ever fulfilled and happy and motivated to live that life?
I think you just got to decide what the release valve is. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you've gone through that whole plan. I've got my thing. Here's the change I'm going to make. What is the absolute worst thing that could happen? If I try and make this change for 12 weeks or 6 months or a year, what's the absolute worst that could happen? Might lose a few people along the way. Am I comfortable with that? Is there a point in the timeline that I can kind of decide, hey, this isn't for me, and the destruction is not too big or the change isn't too big? And if you're comfortable with that, then you've got to do it, right? And it's the older deathbed wisdom, isn't it? How good is that one? Where when you're lying on your deathbed, you're not sat there going, oh, I'm glad I didn't take that risk. I'm glad I didn't start that business. You're going, fuck, what if? What if I did that? Especially if you live a life where you just feel capped and not kind of really fulfilling your potential.
You just played it small the whole time.
Oh, makes me feel sick.
Yeah, literally. So to round it off, ways you can go and implement changes. Habit stacking is one that I've spoke about a fair bit. I think Jackie actually came in this morning and said she started no phones or no social media before work. And then she's going to keep stacking habits onto that. So habit stacking essentially is little micro changes that you add one a week or one a month, whatever it needs to be, and then just add it on. So straight away, no social media. Then I'm going to get up and go for a walk. Then I'm going to get a healthy brekkie. So in 3 weeks' time, you've got these 3 new habits, which all feel quite easy to implement, but the impact they have on you is massive. So I think having those mapped out rather than trying to make every change at once is probably a better way and a more sensible way to make impact long term, rather than just try and solve the world's problems in one day.
And you'd be really surprised how done right and done consistently, how when you actually look back and reflect in such a short space of time, the mammoth changes you can make. Like, for context, mate, two years ago, we were senior recruitment consultants for Hayes. And if I had a invoice that wasn't paid and I had to call the client and ask about it, I was shitting my pants.
Yeah.
That's 2 years ago. We've made small, tiny micro changes every day, every week, every month for those 2 years. And the people that are sat here today doing this podcast really should be 10 years apart. And that's where I think it's just trusting that process is one of the most powerful things. Because when you do look back, what you can achieve in a short space of time when you really kind of focus and dial in is life-changing. For us, it has been. We could all lose this tomorrow, and all the businesses could go, but the skills and the lessons we've learned along the way, but no worries. We'll start again tomorrow, and within 2 years, we'll get back here.
We'd find it, for sure. So motivation is the start. I think that's what gives you the energy to make a bit of a change. Then it's the discipline. So then it's, if you want to go for that run, but it's raining outside and it's freezing cold, middle of winter, you've got a decision to make. Am I disciplined enough to do it anyway? One of our favorites we always say is you can't only be good when it's good. You've got to be good when it's hard. That's where the real wins come. And even if you want to do a 10K run, you normally do that in an hour. If it takes you 2 hours, the mental win that you've just had from getting out of bed, putting the boots on, getting into the rain and knocking out those 10Ks, the physical result is not even in question there. We know on a good day you'll go and smash that. It's that, okay, I had a decision to make in my brain. I had the devil and the angel. And I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm getting the boots on, off I go.
Yeah. I did that on Saturday. Like, obviously, newborn had came here. I normally do an interval run on a Thursday. Got pushed back because baby just arrived on the Friday. Real bad night of sleep. Like, probably got 3 hours sleep. So again, got it pushed back, and it was getting to Saturday. And I was like, tomorrow I've got my long run, which is a 24K. And now I've got this 13K interval run on Saturday. I'm like, it's just impossible. And I was like, do I just knock the interval run on the head for the week? I was like, yeah, that's definitely an option. But I was like, why don't I just go out and do something? So I just said, okay, well, the interval run is scheduled for 13K. Why don't I just go and do 8? and I went and did the 8, nailed the run on the Sunday, and just the difference in mentality of I did 8K and I was only 5K short on my entire Ks for the week, which give or take, you won't feel the impact of that by race day. Or, hey, I failed and I didn't do that. I took the easy route. The difference in mindset was crazy.
100%. What else we got, mate? I think that's about it. Quick stat for you. 66 days to form a habit.
Yeah.
So if you can stack those up over 6-7 weeks in, that period of time, again, that identity has shifted. It's no longer something you're doing. It's something you do.
Maybe do that. Just literally calendar 66 days and just tick them off one day at a time. Just by getting up every day and ticking it, you see the progress.
That's why 75 highs have been so popular.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's why they chose that length of time. Because by the end of that, the person you become, you should be so attached to. You don't want to become the person you were 75 days ago. You want to keep on the habits. Maybe not to the level they do because it's pretty full on. I think it's 2 workouts a day, 10 pages, water, everything else. But if you can keep half of that, you're a way better version of yourself than you were 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever.
Yeah. No, I love it. Mate, I think that's been a good one. We've gone on a good journey there.
Yeah, I think
in motivation.
So do we stick to the scripts? Because I know motivation is easy to start getting into A players, which we always fucking love. So we're into Q&A time, and Rosie's got the first one. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? How do you go?
My 20-year-old self, to start the journey of kind of self-discovery way earlier. Like I think really I've come into my own from kind of mastering myself and my own brain and my own thoughts and my own actions. And had I kind of gone on that journey a bit earlier, I think I'd have probably potentially been a lot further along the way of knowing myself, but probably have saved myself going through a fair amount of pain as well. And I think if you can really have those tools as a 20-year-old, where life at the moment as a 20-year-old, it's so difficult. You don't know what you want to do. Social media is such a big thing at the moment. People are so accessible, so easy to compare yourself to these Instagrammers. It could be quite hard at times, but if you just focus on learning yourself and really nailing that, I think that can really help you. And I think that's something that I would have loved to have gone on doing that further. And it's probably to do with our background, growing up in old school kind of English professional football, mental health, or even psychology or seeing a therapist is just something that was such frowned upon. So it's probably never even something that was a consideration. But since we've done it, it's been so freeing. That'd be mine for sure.
Yeah, I love that. My 20-year-old self, I think I'd just say trust your gut.
Nice.
Which I have done. I think, but more belief in doing that. At the time, my rationale was whatever I think is right at that moment in time, do that. And if you get it wrong, learn from it. Don't make that mistake, same mistake again. It's always been being accountable and just knowing the information you had, it was the right thing at the time. So that's why you did it. Even if it was absolutely tits up and it was the wrong thing in hindsight, just learning from that and then using that new level of hindsight for the next decision and rolling on from there. I spoke about this to my mum as well. I always knew I'd get to a certain level. Like I always had a high standard of what my life would look like for myself. Didn't know which vehicle it would ever take. Like recruitment wasn't something I even knew existed when I was 20. I was literally just over here. I'd have been 6 months into moving to a new country, just trying to find my way in life, right? With no skills, no qualifications. I was a fucking half decent footballer back in England, which no one gives a shit about over here.
Literally no one cares.
So trust in the gut has been good. And I think it's something that it gets easier over time as well, because you can see the decisions you made and the patterns and how you got there and start to recognize, okay, why did that work out? Why didn't that? Oh, it was because of ABC.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good question, Rosie.
Well done, Rosie. Great work. What are the other questions? I've got them here.
I'm loving this Q&A section as well.
Yeah, Ads actually did say before the FC, he's like, good on you, Hard, for kind of pushing it, because he was ready to bin it so many times.
Does keep it fresh, doesn't it?
Q&A time. Where did we send it to each other?
I sent it to you in just a direct text.
Got it. Oh, the big man. Jake Brown, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big man. So Jake Brown, they own Naturally Cooked Sun Cream. Two absolute legends fucking having a crack,
They've
aren't
had
they?
a monster bit of a journey, haven't they?
Like they just have, I see them everywhere. They're good lads. The content's authentic. They're really trying to solve a bigger mission as well in Australia. And and they're just having a go. Kind of remind us of us. But Jake said, Lockie and I don't necessarily set plans, but as you do, kind of they set dream goals. So his question to us is, say it's the year 2045.
Fuck.
What does Harwell look like with things like expansion out of recruitment, multiple location, dream divisions? And what are us two having a schooner talking about? 2045, what's that, 20 years?
20 years. What were we then? 29 now, we're 49. So I think one thing we've obviously already launched is the rebrand of, we're not Harwell Consulting anymore, we're Harwell as an overarching brand. And then we've got the different businesses underneath. So consulting, labour hire, ecom, and then the Two Blokes One Business. Where we see that growing to is probably a property, Harwell property, which would be investments in probably commercial assets from all the reading and research we've done. Harwell developments, it'd be great to build a bit of equity in those assets to then buy a bit of land and kind of do our own Harwell HQ one day. That could be pretty cool.
So what do you reckon the chat is in 20 years over a schooner? Because that's what the big man wants to know.
That's what it totally cares about, isn't it? Well, hopefully, fuck mate, we did it. And I can only imagine what did it will mean in 20 years' time, because did it a year ago is so different to what it is today, and that will change again in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years.
Yeah. I don't know what it will look like then. Like, we've got these plans now, but again, we set big goals, but as we know, the plans change. Like, we set a target for Harwell next financial year, or one for the year after. We're probably going to do it next year. So it changes every 5 minutes. We're currently mapping out and getting ready to launch a new business, which 4 weeks ago, although we had the idea of a structure like this, 4 weeks ago, this wasn't a thing. And now it is. So I don't know what we'll be talking about, but I do hope that we just sit there and look back and just go, fuck, we did it. We had no regrets. There's a few things we fucked up on, but we just had a crack.
Mate, can I get a bit cute for a sec?
Oh, God.
I think the best thing in the world would be whatever level of success we've had, whether that's really, really cool or just got enough to provide, as long as we're still as close as we are and we've been through it all together in 20 years' time. If you can sit here going, fuck, mate, I had your back and you had mine.
Yeah.
And we copped it, that'd be special.
Even if it all crumbles to the ground.
Fuck it, we'll do it together.
Yeah, but we'll probably have offshored a load of money by that point anyway, so we'll be right.
But that would be cool.
Yeah, I think that's it. As long as you get through it and go, we had a crack, whatever happened, happened. But it was a, we talk about it as a ride. We're like, fuck, what a ride this is already after 2 years. If it keeps going the way it is for 20, it'll be mental.
As long as we're in it together. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
That's it.
Mate, let me fire this one to you. Who is this from again? This is
Louis.
from
Big Louis.
Yeah,
LH
Louis.
Partners.
LH Partners. Those boys are flying as well, by everything I'm seeing, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is nice because we kind of helped them a little bit. They had some questions for us on how we're starting. You know, what should we look out for? Even just talking people down off the ledge. Not saying they were never going to do it, but just the fear.
Yeah.
You know, so just going, boys, it's one of them things where when you make the decision and you start, you look back and go, fuck, why were we ever hesitating?
Yeah.
You know, how good life can be. And they're definitely at that stage now. They're growing stupidly quick. They've hired someone already, which is massive, and they're absolutely flying. So good on them for pulling the trigger.
And he gives us the nice pump ups as well, which, as we've discussed, motivates you to do more.
Take more of that. So Louis' question is, what was the most effective change that we made in running our business in the first 6 months? So give a bit of context on what this first 6 months was. Probably help.
Sat in your kitchen or your spare room, just me and you, just recruiting really, just ripping deals.
Literally.
It was literally as simple as that. The biggest change, I think it was the mentality shift. Probably going back to that identity. I think the first 6 months, I probably still felt like a senior recruiter at Hayes, and I was still chasing all the kind of not small fish, like in a disrespectful way, but it was just always a one-to-one kind of chase or relationship, and it was just stuck to the blueprint of what they'd always led you to believe was the right way or the right path. I think we went through that identity shift of, okay, no, we are business owners now, and there is a much bigger world out there, and we probably really took the blinkers off, and you start exploring new things like one-to-many content, one-to-many products, high-ticket relationships where you make a relationship with one person, it opens the door to hundreds. and just really stopping the kind of mentality that they force on you of this is the way it always is and there's nothing out there. I think once I went through that identity shift, we've just never looked back. Like, we put the foot on the gas and it is still fucking fully planted on the gas. That's mine.
Yeah, I love that. I've got two. Mine's the content and the marketing. Like, it was something we never did and we were so shit scared to do. We've put in our videos and our faces on LinkedIn, walking around my little complex. So the phone's out, sun's out. Hey, just looking for a construction manager for a building on the Gold Coast. It was scary. And then we saw the results from doing that. And then the question was, if we stopped doing it, we're literally leaving money on the table, which made it easier to keep going as well. And then the second one would be going to Swish immersion. Okay. So for context, this was probably 6 weeks after we'd launched. We'd had a decent first month, which was good. We were already in Swish doing a bit of training with them. And then they said, hey, we've got the immersion coming up in late October. It's 17 grand for 2 days, which is a fucking lot of money.
I don't think we'd paid ourselves any money yet.
Then we had a serious conversation. So what do we think this is going to be? Do we want to just do what we've always done, be what what we'll be by doing the same actions? Or do we actually want to back ourselves? Do we think if we go and apply what we'll learn at immersion, we can make more than 17 grand back? So it's a net gain. And then are we all in? Because if we're not, we can just keep going and just try and rip a deal or two a month and be on the beach. But if we're serious about building something proper, we're kidding ourselves if we don't.
Yeah, that conversation I think was a big turning point for us, because even this episode where we spoke about motivation, we could have stayed the same. We could have gone, let's just recruit on the tools till the very end, earn maybe 400-500K a year each, very healthy amount of money to live off. It would have been enough. But because there was no growth, there was no new challenges, we're not moving forward, I think the motivation would have faded. And that's a very, very dangerous place to be. And I'm reading Dan Martell's book at the moment, Buy Back Your Time, and he talks about it really well. And he's just like, stagnancy is the most dangerous place to be, because if you're not trying to grow or move forward, then you are moving backwards. And you're moving backwards, you get a few losses, and then that knocks your motivation. It's a very different, it scares me to think, had we not done that, and it was still just me and you sat in your kitchen or your spare room, how different it would have been. We might not be here, mate.
We actually would, man. You know what? We'd be happy because we wouldn't know what could have been. We'd just still thought we've hit the lottery, If we can work from my spare room and good money and just do it our way, life would have been good, but we wouldn't be as motivated and fulfilled as we are. Yeah. And this journey we're on, I still feel like we're just scratching the surface.
It's such a good lesson there, mate, to finish us off. And all it was the courage to kind of make that change. And that's what we obviously spoke about at the end of this episode on motivation. It was just the courage to go, okay, maybe logic is perhaps saying that you shouldn't invest that 17 grand because you've got a kid and a partner at home who's on maternity leave and your savings runway is running thin. But the courage to just do it and make the change and look at what it's kind of rewarded us with. So anyone that's honestly just sat there on Summit and just needs the nudge, maybe that can be the lesson or the push that gives you the nudge.
And the nudge wasn't necessarily just us. It was Tucky saying, my board, because I think there was another one in February. 4 or 5 months later, we might have saved a bit more money. It was like, we're like, oh, why don't we just do that one in Feb? It's probably a bit more safer, a bit more sensible. And he goes, boys, what are you worried about? Like, what are you scared of? If you can pay it off, if you procure it, so you pay $1,000 or whatever it is, and do you think you'll get value from it? Do you think you'll learn more than how we do more than 17K in terms of an ROI? Yes, we do. Well, then the longer you wait, the cost of opportunity or the opportunity cost and the cost of an action between October to Feb, and looking in hindsight, he was 100% right, would have been thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
I reckon it would have been 6 figures. Easily.
Well, then we hired Andy and Chloe. We hired in January.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have done that so quick.
Yeah.
Without pulling the trigger, getting the learning, getting a process, getting more money through the door, so then we can pay for them, get the new office. So it's little decisions, hey, and thanks to Tucky, who obviously saw something in us and thought, boy, you can do this. Or maybe he's a fucking very good salesman, probably a bit of both. We pull the trigger and then it sets everything else in motion.
Yeah. Man, I hope there's some takeaways and some lessons for people here. Obviously, I know we talk from our experiences, but ultimately that's what this is for. But I hope there's a few people that are nodding along going, fuck, that makes sense. It's probably a fair few, like old mate who said anyone gets a podcast nowadays that thinks we're chatting shit and idiots. And that's all right.
Yeah, fair play to him.
But that is another episode done. Who we got next week, mate? I love doing this.
We got Ben Handler, who's an absolute weapon.
No, we haven't.
Fuck.
Ben was last week.
Oh shit.
We got Mel Taitimu.
Nice. And she's been one of my favourite guests out of everyone,
Yeah.
to be fair. So Mel's, I don't want to give too much away, but essentially if you're someone who thinks you work hard and you think you've got the potential to work too hard and that's going to cost you everything in life,
Yeah.
this is the one you need to be listening to.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that. See you next week.
See you next week.